Hello and welcome to my channel. Here I review movies, and today's film is Deadpool and Wolverine. It's a fantasy action adventure about Deadpool trying to save his dying timeline. He recruits Wolverine to help him, and together they face off against the TVA and Cassandra Nova. The story comes from Ryan Reynolds, Paul Wernick, Zeb Wells, Rhett Reese, and Sean Levy. Sean Levy directed the film, which stars Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, Matthew Macfadyen as Mr. Paradox, and Emma Corrin as Cassandra Nova. To begin, this movie definitely needs a disclaimer. It is not for the faint of heart or the easily offended. There is non-stop cursing, offensive humor, sexual content in the form of jokes, imagery, and acts. There's extreme gore, and there are a number of disturbing sequences of a person's hand being stuck inside someone else's head. If you aren't ready for an extremely wild ride, you should probably back out and see something else. Now, on to the positives, of which there are many. Starting with the story, we have an incredibly exciting adventure. There is action in the form of super-powered fights, there's a ton of cameos from different characters in the Marvel Universe, and there's non-stop humor from the Merc with the Mouth. There's also a fairly decent emotional storyline for both Deadpool and Wolverine. The fights are long-form hand-to-hand action scenes with power usage on top of them. We see Deadpool and Wolverine fight several times, watch a team of X-heroes take on a team of super-powered villains, and get to see a few gory kills along the way. Rest in peace, Johnny, you beautiful shit ducker. The cameos are a mixture of returning characters from the previous films, characters from other past Marvel projects, and a few characters that never quite made it to film. They're a lot of fun, and they managed to work the two super-powered factions into the story beautifully. Finally, for humor, we get a plethora of R-rated jokes. Everything from jokes about drugs to jokes about sex. There are no sacred cows in this film, and if any showed up, Deadpool and Wolverine would promptly slaughter and eat them. The general cast does a fantastic job of their roles, aside from one bad accent. Looking right at you, Channing. Deadpool wasn't the only one who couldn't understand a word you said. Other than bad accents, the rest of the performances are fairly short and stereotypical. There's TVA agents acting like the weird corporate evil that they are, there's other heroes trying to show off their own big personality, and there's a wacky villain with incredible presence. The characters work well for the story and add a lot of humor and fun into the mix. For standout performances, you get a couple of big emotional moments from Ryan Reynolds and Emma Corrin, but the real star is Hugh Jackman. His character is the worst Wolverine, and it shows openly. He's constantly drunk, pessimistic, and outright abrasive. Despite this, he gets to do some heart-wrenching emotional moments and does them with such flavor that it's impossible to avoid getting wrapped up in Jackman's performance. He's the version of Logan that everyone always wanted, and Jackman nails it. The visual journey is cleanly shot, gory, and filled with beautiful wide shots showing off all the sets and costumes they came up with. The action looks fantastic and is clear, the emotional moments hit hard, and the conversations are snappy back and forths with a lot of charm. For standout moments, they had non-stop action sequences that were beautifully choreographed and executed cleanly, a ton of crazy looking power usage, and a grand finale that felt epic. For fight fans, this film is a godsend. One of my favorite moments was the big showdown between Deadpool and Wolverine in the Deadpool Corps. There were like 100 deaths in 5 minutes. They also did an amazing job with Cassandra Nova's telepathy. Her hands literally running over people's minds was so disgusting. The soundtrack is made up of instrumentals and a handful of American classics. The soundtrack follows the flow of the film closely and injects a ton of emotion into it. It adds a bit of humor, a lot of sadness and tragedy, and a huge heaping of hype during fight scenes. It's hard to choose a favorite, but honestly, I really enjoyed the NSYNC song at the start where Deadpool is dancing, and the scene of him and Wolverine walking out to Like a Prayer. The music always hits perfectly in those moments. Alright, now to address the film's one flaw. Its story is entirely dependent on you being a fan of Marvel and its products in order to understand any of what's going on. You have to understand the multiverse, the TVA, Deadpool comics, and X-Men comics, otherwise you're going to be completely lost. There are non-stop references in the story to other films, other timelines, even a lot of the humor is related to making fun of Disney and its other products. If you aren't in the know, you are going to find yourself constantly in the cold. It leads to a lot of great jokes like Deadpool making fun of the Disney television shows or taking shots at Disney for canceling different projects, but if you aren't aware of these things, it just seems random and zany for no reason. Personally, I really enjoyed the film and found myself wrapped up in the story the entire time. I thought the action and the humor were top-notch and even enjoyed many of the references and cameos. If you like Marvel products or enjoy the Deadpool series, you should definitely head out to see this one. It's a fun time with a lot of great visual moments. As for a rating, I'd give this film an 8 out of 10. Remember, these are just my thoughts on the film. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Bye-bye.